Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. So, we've got a lot to unpack with this video because it's not something as simple as what it may appear on the surface. There is a lot of underlying threads here. So, some of you who have no idea what I'm talking about right now, what is going on? Well, back in 2017, Snapshot Games ran a crowdfunding campaign for their new project, which was going to be Phoenix Point. And it was created by this gentleman here, Julian Gollop, who is the chap who brought XCOM to the table. And so Phoenix Point was seen by many as a spiritual successor to the XCOM game. And when he announced this project and put it up to be crowdfunded, it garnered a lot of excitement. But we'll get to that shortly. I just want to take a snapshot from a video right now that Julian posted a couple of days ago. And he says,
I have some major news to share. We have signed a deal with Epic Games to bring Phoenix Point exclusively to the Epic Games Store for its first year of release on PC and Mac.
So, he says that Phoenix Point is going to come out exclusively on the Epic Games Store in its first year of release for PC and Mac. So some of you may be saying, okay, all right, they decided to go with the Epic Games Store as their launcher. Now, that in itself is causing issues, but we'll get to that momentarily. It's the campaign. Let's go to the campaign. This is what's really got people annoyed, because if I actually go back here and just scroll down the page, look at the like to dislike ratio here. Now, is that because it's going on the Epic Games Store and people are just mad about that? No. It's the campaign. So this is the campaign that was done on fig.co, and it finished on June the 8th, 2017. And they raised $766,000 of their $500,000 goal. So this went over target. It reached 153% of its target. 10,314 backers. This did wonderfully. And if you scroll down, you can see the various perks that you get, to run very much like Kickstarter, etc., etc., etc. What I want to do is I want to scroll down to the Q&A, because the Q&A is very important indeed. Look at all these things. They look great. It does look great. It looks like a really cool little game. But it's the Q&A that has caused significant problems. So here we go. FAQ. Q&A. Will the game be on Steam? Yes. Phoenix Point will be on Steam, and we will provide Steam keys to backers who want to receive their game this week. Will the game be on GOG? Yes. Phoenix Point will be available through GOG.com, and we will provide keys for backers who want to receive their game this way. So people are contributing towards this crowdfunding campaign under the assumption that they're going to be purchasing it for either Steam or for GOG. So, is that a major problem? Well, kind of, yeah. You see, the Epic Games Store was only announced in December of last year. I think December of last year. So, that is a year and a half after the campaign has been completed. And the game itself would be heavily in development by then. They were hoping for a 2018 release. It's now going to go into a 2019 release. And the reason why this is a problem is this isn't a title that a games company has created and then said, hey folks, we are deciding to put it on the Epic Games platform. No. This is a project which has been funded by people, by these 10,314 backers. This money isn't Snapshot Games' money, in essence. In essence, yes, it is once it's been handed over. But in essence, this money is the money of these backers who are wanting this game based off the Q&A criteria. That it will be on Steam and it will be on GOG. So why have they decided, therefore, to go for the Epic Games launcher? Well, with all due respect to Julian, he talks about, well, if we go on the Epic Games launcher, then it's going to allow us to support the game for, future blah, blah, blah. Put it this way, he's talking out of his arse. He's talking out of his absolute arse. The reason why they're going on the Epic Games launcher is because Epic are offering a significant kickback in terms of revenue generation for independent companies particularly. Well, even though Ubisoft themselves have decided to do this with The Division and some future upcoming Ubisoft titles as well. The revenue split with the Epic Games launcher is so much lower than it is with Steam. Steam taking 25 to 30% in total of the revenue split, whether or not you use the Unreal Engine plus their own fees on top of that as well. Whereas I think the Epic Games Store, it's been a while since it's done, I think it's 12% flat fee, regardless of whether or not you use the Epic engine, the Unreal Engine. And so they stand to make a lot more money, a lot more profit by going specifically on the Epic Games Store. But I reiterate, it wasn't their money that funded their game. It's not their right to do that. It's the right of these 10,300 backers that are being supporting this based off what they're telling them. This is a greedy move. This is a move that hasn't been motivated by any sort of logic other than revenue split. Now, he tries to appease people, and I have to say this, it's only fair that I do. He tries to appease people and say that because of this, people who have backed the project will get a year of free content through DLC. Well, with all due respect, Julian, these people deserve that anyway by backing the campaign. They're paying the money to have this made and getting their copy. To say, right, we're now going to start charging you DLC, I think it's pretty piss poor, to be perfectly honest with you. And they are saying as well that if you're unhappy with this decision, then you can contact them for a full refund based off whatever. So whatever you've backed, you will get a full refund of whatever you've backed. That isn't the point. The point is, Epic have paid them to go on the launcher. Epic have paid them to take this game as an exclusive for the Epic launcher. So not only are they getting a better revenue split and therefore more profit, but they're also taking a golden handshake from Epic for doing so. And this appears to be in the region of approximately $2.5 million. That is not an exact, but it appears to be in the region of that. So therefore, if every single one of these backers decided that they wanted a refund, and so they had to refund $765,000, it would make little to no difference for them. Number one, the game is already built, pretty much. Number two, the golden handshake from Epic is more than covering this and leaving them with plenty left over. And then, of course, the exclusivity deal that they have will allow them to get a bigger split to anyone who purchases the game from the Epic store. So all in all, it's a real shitty move. I would have no problems with this move if it was funded by Snapshot Games. None whatsoever. It's their prerogative, whether you like the Epic Games Store or not. As a launcher is by the by. It's their decision to make, and as an indie company, it is an attractive proposition to gain more profit. But it isn't. It's a crowd crowd-funded project. And in the faith of that crowd-funded project, this seems like a complete spit in the face of these people. Thanks for your cash. Thanks for your backing. Now we've got an opportunity to make a lot of money here. Screw you. Because that's what it does boil down to. Regardless of what verbiage you put around it, how polite you are, how you try to explain it, that is what it does boil down to. It boils down to a better revenue split, and it boils down to a golden handshake, and these 10,300 people be damned. If Julian actually had a moral compass, then he would have... I don't think there's any problem whatsoever with him deciding it to also go on the Epic launcher, but at the same time, it should still go on Steam and GOG without this year gap, not an exclusivity deal. So if he should have turned down the exclusivity with Epic, but by all means put it on the Epic Games launcher, and hopefully, you'll sell some copies there and get a better revenue split than you would. That's what he should have done. He chose not to. He chose to take the money and run. And this is why the Epic Games launcher... Now, I've talked about this as an interesting concept in terms of somebody going head-to-head with Valve, with Steam, of course. But from a customer perspective, the Epic Games launcher is proving to be more and more anti-consumer. It's proving to be... almost a way for Epic to bribe, maybe a harsh word to use, encourage financially companies to go specifically with them, and therefore cut off an alternate option. But there was also some other stuff that happened. And I want to touch on this. Briefly, because I know this video is going to go on for a little bit. So, this Reddit post comes out: Epic Games Store spyware tracking and you. And what this did is this went into detail about this image here. This image here, which talks about the processes that the Epic launcher runs, and how it really goes into your PC, browses your files, browses your internet history, all this kind of stuff. It seems to be very, very aggressive and, obtrusive, to say the least. Now, this caused the company to respond to this post, because it is a pretty damning post. Now, this is Epic Games, by the way, not Snapshot Studios. This is Epic Games responding to this post. And they say, we do use tracking pixels for our support a creator program so we can pay creators. We also track page statistics. And you can read this further here. Just pause the video and read this further here. But he talks about the Steam libraries, which it accesses as well, and that it only accesses it with your specific permission. And he talks about Tim Sweeney, the head of Epic, and how it's only him that has access to this and not anyone else. Now, this didn't go down too well. I will link this, obviously, in the description box down below. But it goes on. People are going on about how intrusive this is and how it is actually unnecessary and all this. So this caused Tim Sweeney to then respond, the head of Epic, saying, yeah, you guys are right. We ought to only access the local config VDU file. And then he goes on as to say, yeah, we tried to do some quick setups for social media functions on the Epic launcher, and yeah, there isn't any real need, and we're going to start to deal with this, yada, yada, yada. But there also seems to be another issue in the fact that Epic are part owned by Tencent, the big Chinese company, and Tencent themselves have a pretty piss-poor reputation when it comes to data and what they share with the Chinese government and such and so forth. So, although Tim can give assurances, we're talking about corporations here, and just how worthy is the word of somebody from a corporation, we don't know. And if you can say, yeah, but you know, what about Riot and Tencent and stuff like this? It's never been a problem there. I think it's not been a problem because of ignorance. Everyone's ignorance, myself included. You know, we never really knew what these kind of companies were up to. And I think the changing point came at BlizzCon of last year when Alan Adam, very rigidly and specifically in the press conference stated how much China now meant to Blizzard, and how their relationship with NetEase was the way forward, how mobile was the way forward, how developers have been pulled from PC, how their main developers aren't playing PC anymore, they're playing mobile. It was just like a heartbreaking press conference because he was essentially just constantly spitting in Blizzard's loyal fans' faces in an effort to push into China, which made us on the interwebs go deep into research into companies like NetEase and Tencent and such. And that's when we started to get a lot more information about them. And this is when they started to come a lot more to the forefront to us here in the West. And now we're kind of like very suspicious based off what we are aware of with these Chinese companies. But this is going slightly off track. And I want to wrap this up pretty quickly now because we have gone pretty deep into this. The specific point here with Julian is it wasn't his decision to make, ultimately. Now, you can argue this, and that's all well and good. But when you crowdfund a project, it's those people who you're responsible to. It's those people that you answer to. And it's those people that you should be discussing these things with. Now, if Julian had decided to raise a Q&A or put out a video saying, hi, folks, we've got a great opportunity to go exclusively with Epic. This will put funds into the company, which will allow us to expand on the game or to do this or to do that or to the other. This is something we'd really like to take up because it's, you know, it would secure the company's future. It would secure the potential future of the game as well. Then I think there should have been that. How do you respond to this? What do you think? You're the guys who have backed the project, and put it to that sort of test. Give people plenty of time to respond. Give people plenty of time to give their thoughts and opinions about it. But by going over everyone's heads, by vetoing what they said, by going back on what they said in the frequently asked questions about where it's going to appear, because now it's not going to be on Steam and GOG until a year later, he is really going against the core of these people. But like I said, more importantly, because he's got the Golden Handshake from Epic Games, he doesn't need them. He doesn't need them. And without them, this game wouldn't exist. He has so much to be grateful for these 10,314 backers. And he has... Well, the only way that I can describe it is he's betrayed them. He has betrayed them. So there you go. Phoenix Point. Quite a deep-seated issue. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see of it. I think Epic are going to make more and more aggressive moves to companies to try and get them exclusively onto the Epic Games Store. I think when games become crowdfunded, I think it's the responsibility of backers to ask these questions. What about Epic Games Store? What about exclusivity, etc., etc.? And I think once you've committed, like Phoenix Point did, once a company has committed to delivering in a certain way, you have to see that through for these people who back the project. But Okay, there you go. Sorry, it's a big one, but I think it needed to be heavily discussed. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming links. They're in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.